Welcome to this explainer. You know, history is rarely about just memorizing facts and dates. It's actually an active, high-stakes forensic investigation. Today, we're unpacking the historian's toolkit, and we're going to explore the exact methodologies used to reconstruct human history, especially when there are literally no living witnesses around to be interviewed.
Here is our roadmap for today. We'll cover uncovering the past, physical clues and artifacts, the evolution of writing, voices kept alive orally, a case study on ancient India, and finally, we'll wrap up with the historian's golden rule.
All right, Section 1, Uncovering the Past.
So you might be wondering, how do we actually know what happened thousands of years ago? I mean, the people are long gone, their homes are often completely destroyed, and for a massive chunk of human existence, absolutely nothing was written down. Well, just like a forensic scientist, a historian relies on three distinct surviving traces: material sources, written sources, and oral sources.
Let's dive into Section 2, Physical Clues and Artifacts. Take a look at this. It's a pretty stark contrast, right? On one side, we have a potsherd, just a broken piece of everyday earthen pottery, but complete with these ancient designs. And on the other side, intricate, luxurious gold ornaments. By comparing everyday items to luxury artifacts, we gain these brilliant insights into the economic realities, social interaction, and the day-to-day life of ancient humans. These physical remains, which also include ruins of buildings, coins, and seals, make up our material sources.
But hey, material sources aren't just objects made of clay or metal. Sometimes the clues are actually organic. Now, normally food grains do not last long at all. They get infested and turn into powder. But get this. In ancient times, people used to roast their food grains before grinding them. Occasionally, a few of those grains got charred during roasting and were tossed out. Well, those accidentally charred grains can remain completely intact for an incredibly long period of time. When archaeologists recover these during excavations, labs can inspect them and tell us exactly what ancient people were eating. It's literally a culinary fingerprint from the past.
Moving right along to Section 3, The Evolution of Writing.
Now, written sources absolutely didn't just appear overnight. Early humans in the Stone Age originally recorded events and expressed their emotions through rock paintings. It took thousands of years for humans to progress to scratching symbols on unbaked bricks and potsherds with pointed objects. And it took thousands more to develop highly systematic, written accounts of royal court proceedings. It was a slow, fascinating evolution.
Before the mass production of paper, humans had to look to nature. Notice the living birch tree here, and right beside it, a surviving ancient manuscript written directly on its bark. Because as human experience and knowledge increased, so did the need for diverse writing materials to capture it all.
This specific material is known as Bhurjapatra. Bhurja is actually the Sanskrit name for the birch tree, which is famously found in Kashmir. These sheets of bark essentially became the ancient equivalent of our modern notebooks, preserving religious texts, social subjects, plays, and even scientific works.
Sometimes, however, a record needs to be completely permanent, especially if you're a ruler. Rulers needed a foolproof way to cement their judicial decisions, their official orders, and their royal donations so they wouldn't just be lost to time or decay. Their solution? The copper plate inscription. Carving text directly into copper plates, or stone, ensured that these vital written sources would survive for generations to come.
That brings us to Section 4, Voices Kept Alive Orally. Think about it. How do you preserve a story if you don't have a pen, paper, or a copper plate? Well, you use human memory. Take these lines from a traditional folk song praising Vikramaditya, the king of Ujjain. Literature like this, folk songs, folk tales, and traditional verses known as oghis, often have completely unknown authors. Yet, they've survived because they were passed down from generation to generation purely by word of mouth. This entire body of literature, preserved invisibly by memory, forms the oral sources of history.
Let's put this into practice in Section 5, Case Study on Ancient India. The ancient period of Indian history is incredibly vast. We are talking about a timeline stretching from the Stone Age all the way up to the 8th century CE. Because scripts had not yet developed, everything we know about the Indian Stone Age comes entirely from our first tool, material sources found through archaeological excavation. But right around 1500 BCE, things shift. We start getting information from Vedic literature. Interestingly enough, early on, the Vedas were not written down. Ancient Indians developed a highly precise technique for memorizing and reciting them, meaning this crucial historical period is heavily reliant on those oral sources, which were only written down much later.
So to get the full picture of ancient India, historians really have to synthesize all three tools. Under material sources, we have structural remains like stupas and rock-cut caves, plus artifacts like terracotta objects and beads. Under written sources, we have inscriptions on Harappan seals, travelogues by Chinese and Greek visitors, and massive epics like the Ramayana and Mahabharata. And finally, under oral sources, we have the immense foundational texts of Vedic, Buddhist, and Jain literature. It literally takes all of these pieces combined to truly reconstruct the past.
Finally, Section 6, the historian's golden rule.
Being a historian isn't just about finding old things. It's about rigorous, scientific analysis. Whenever a historian finds a source, they have to take strict precautions. First, they must examine it critically. Who wrote this? Why did they write it? And when exactly was it written? Second, they have to cross-check various genuine documents against one another. And third, any conclusion drawn must be deeply corroborated with other evidence.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one absolutely crucial thought. A written document cannot be said to be authentic just because it is old. Just because someone carved something into a rock thousands of years ago doesn't automatically mean they were telling the truth. They could have been biased, misinformed, or deliberately exaggerating. And that is exactly why studying history is an active, ongoing investigation. We constantly have to question the evidence, test the clues, and cross-examine the past. So the next time you look at a piece of ancient pottery, an old folk song, or a faded manuscript, ask yourself, what is the real story hiding beneath the surface?